Hello everyone, praise the Lord, praise Jesus. I welcome back to my channel, Maura. Thank you for subscribing, thank you for viewing, thank you for sharing the link, and thank you for your feedback. If you haven't done, please do. And this is BAKIRE'S mission. I'm glad talking to you again. Previously, we had talked about the causes and the symptoms of postpartum depression. We also looked at how to deal with postpartum depression. And if you haven't watched those two videos, kindly go check the description below. I'm going to put in links that will lead you direct to those videos so you get to understand what we're talking about. And today, we are talking about the similarities and differences between postpartum depression and grief. Okay, I'll say I'm unfortunate to have, for lack of a better word, to have experienced both of them, because they are both not easy things to experience. It is, especially grief, is the worst thing you can experience, especially when you're mourning your child. Yes. So question is, I've been having these comments and emails about asking about this topic. Question was, after the loss of a baby, either to miscarriage or stillbirth or any other cause, like you lose a baby maybe a few hours after birth, or days or weeks or months, like mine, I lost mine just 7 hours after birth. After this incident, what exactly is a mother going through? What exactly does a mother go through as she grapples, she's dealing with this devastating experience, the devastating combination of these two? Is it actually grief that she's experiencing, or is it postpartum depression? Or could it be both? Well, that is the topic of the day. And it can be very difficult when you're dealing with both. And it is difficult to differentiate between grief and PPD because they have a lot in common. They look much alike, okay? Grief is a normal reaction. First of all, it is a very normal reaction to a very abnormal event. In this case, we're talking about the event of losing a baby. Okay? So the grief is just a normal reaction. Okay, whereas PPD is more of a disease that requires treatment. Grief, on the other hand, does not require treatment. It requires support and understanding, and it's just actually that. It requires support and understanding from appropriate parties. And this event, we're talking about family, friends, and colleagues at work, from your healthcare providers, from your neighbors, from your other children if you have them, and yeah. So that is the difference. The other one requires medication and attention and all, but this one requires a lot of support. Sorry about that. Grief can get complicated. Okay, it can get very complicated, it can get prolonged, it can bring out a different person in you that you didn't know you had inside of you. Like, you were a happy person and it brings a whole different version of a very sad and quiet and whole different person. But putting that aside, it erupts, or it wakes up, for lack of a better word, it wakes up these other health complications if you had them. If you had conditions that are underlying. For example, you had depression that you hadn't handled before, you hadn't dealt with it to overcome this depression, and you have any other mental health issues, it will just, and then grief hits in, it will just wake them all up. So depression will hit you, but it has been underlying. So that is also a relation between these two, okay? It will just evoke these other sad spirits, depression spirits, and yeah. So that's why I advise bereaved mothers or bereaved parents, in this case, even fathers, to, if you had or if you have any mental health issues, kindly let your healthcare provider aware of these conditions, because it's most likely going to escalate and get worse, and you will need a lot of help. Let them help you and let you know when you need help and all. Postpartum depression is tough, and grieving is tough, very tough. But it's so sad that there seems to be very few people and resources to help deal with the horrible combination of depression and grief, okay? And this is one of the reasons why, yes, this is something I don't like discussing. I'm sure some people who know me are going to be like, okay, Maura, you lost a child, because I don't actually like talking about it so much. Even when I post about it, I first block some people and all that. But they are going to get surprised seeing this. But I decided to do this, talk about this, because I believe there is a mother out there who is silently, struggling with dealing with this. They don't know, maybe depressed, or is it postpartum, is it what? They don't know who to talk to, they don't know who to, pour out their hearts to. I'm here. This is why I started this YouTube channel in the first place, BAKIRE'S Mission. This YouTube channel is trying to find beauty in ashes. Like, I looked for information out there to help me when I had just lost my baby, and I didn't find it. So I thought it's never late to start. I can do this. I can actually talk about this. I can fight this stigma. Change starts with me. I can be that stone, that building block, like that can build onto this, and people can get to know that there is someone out there willing to talk to them. There is someone out there going through what they're going through, or who has gone through what they're going through. And yes, here I am talking to you about it. There is very, very limited information out there that relates to this too. Like, when you lose your child, people are, they are so limited to move on. How do we get her to move on from this? How do we get her to get back to her normal self? But who tells you I want to get back to my normal self? I will not get back to my normal self. Like, this is a huge blow. Like, I just want to learn how to live with this, because it will never change, okay? But putting that aside, to make this matter worse, like making the fact that there is limited information out there and people willing to help you deal with the combination of both PPD and grief, there are things like, for example, there are a few therapists out there that talk about it. Not few, actually, they are there, but they tend to tackle more of postpartum depression, not the grief part. I don't know if they are maybe afraid of offending you and making you feel worse about the situation of losing your child, but these two relate in a way of, to make it worse, some of the things that the therapists worry more about are things, when you're dealing with depression, for example, they'll tell you not to sleep too much. That is an example. I remember my therapist telling me, Maura, don't sleep too much, you might lose it, but this is how I was trying to deal with my grief. And I actually used not to sleep at night. I didn't sleep for about 3 months. Yes, from May, June, July. Like, I couldn't sleep. I just used to sleep during the day because I wanted to sleep knowing that someone is out there watching, like they are seated. I remember calling my brother. I would tell him, you sit there, and then I want to sleep. Then I would sleep during the day, but during the night I couldn't sleep. The moment I closed my eyes, I would just get voices of my baby crying and the memories of her face, and so it was just traumatizing. But then here is my therapist telling me, don't sleep so much during the day. So she was trying to treat my depression, but then she wasn't helping with the grief, because I felt like the sleeping part during the day would help with the grief. So there are a number of conflicting behavior and ways of handling or dealing with grief and PPD at the same time. It takes real attention and focus to deal with both, like real attention and support. You need a lot of support, you need a lot of, I don't know how to put it, but you just need a huge support system for you to deal with the both of them, which I'm glad I had and still have, by the way. I'm so grateful. But there are people out there who don't have it, and this is why I'm here. Like, I'm here for you. You have someone to talk to, you have a shoulder to lean on now. I'm here. BAKIRE'S Mission is here for you. Grief is not just feeling sad. You know, people tend to think when you're grieving, you're sad, you're crying all the time, you're what? No, it's more than that actually. It is a very complicated and prolonged process. Like I told you people, it's a process. You learn, you're just trying to learn to cope and deal and live with this loss. You know, it is a process that requires time, it requires patience, it requires a lot of support, it requires a lot of prayer, it is something you don't just deal with in a period of a month or 2 months and then you're over it. No. Whereas postpartum, remember we're looking at the relationship between the two. Postpartum, deal with it, you get over it, and you know, life gets back to normal. Okay, but postpartum, I mean, grief feels so much like, it feels so much like fear. It feels so much like you feel so devastated, you feel so alone. Even when you have too much support, you feel so anxious, you feel guilty. Oh my God, that part is, you feel so guilty. You start questioning, did I do the right thing, or did I feel it right? You are actually sure you did all these things, but the guilt is always there. It is the most haunting thing. The guilt bit of it is and most of the time, you feel numb. Like, most of the time, you just feel numb. You don't know what you feel. You don't know if you're sad. You don't know if you just feel numb. You're not. That's why you find a bereaved mother out of the blue, like, she's just buried the child. And then she'll just burst out and laugh. Like, she doesn't know what she's feeling. She's not happy. She's not sad. She's not shocked. She's shocked at the same time. She thinks she's dreaming, she thinks it's just a very difficult thing to deal with, you know. It's a horrible process when you're dealing with both postpartum and you're dealing with grief. Okay? And if I can feel this bad, when I got a chance to look at my child, I didn't get a chance to carry her or breastfeed her or anything, but at least I looked at her. I can only imagine what a mother that miscarried the child and didn't get even a chance to look at this child or anything is going through. In most cases, they don't want to talk about it, tell even their close friends about it, because of the stigma that clouds it. I can only imagine what this mother is going through. I can only imagine. But what I can tell you is we can still find beauty in these ashes. I can't believe I said that. But yes, we can find beauty in these ashes. It's something you look at and you're like, okay, what beauty is there in me burying my own child? But I believe it's there and we can find it together, okay? Just write to BAKIRE'S Mission and join this small network that I have already created of mothers, grieving mothers, and you will be helped. Don't suffer alone, don't suffer in silence. And grief and postpartum are much alike, like I told you in the very beginning. But the difference is postpartum will eventually be gone. Eventually. I remember when I had my first babies, Ryan, like I cried, I did all that, like I told you in the previous videos about dealing with postpartum. But by the time she was a year, I was, you know, I was okay. I had lost the weight, I was looking good, I was just feeling grateful. I didn't have the PPD anymore. I was very okay. But then grief never goes away. That's a fact. Now you must be saying, how does she know it never goes away? Because I mean, it's just been about 6 months when the baby passed and all. Yes, it hasn't gone away. And you might think that is a short time. To me, it is 6 months, but to me it feels like 6 years. And I have shared with mothers who lost their children about 10 years or even more years. And they still feel like it just happened yesterday. You don't get over it, you don't move on, it never goes away, you just learn to live with it. So that is the difference. People do go away, but the grief, it will go away for a few minutes, but just you just learn to live with it, like cope and live with it. And yes, yeah, so those are some of the few relations, I can say, the differences and similarities between postpartum depression and grief. This is to let you know again, BAKIRE'S Mission is here for you. Don't suffer alone. If you're looking for someone to talk to, just write to bakiresmission@gmail.com. You can also come into the comment section and let us know that you need someone to talk to. We shall give you the contact. Don't suffer in silence. I understand what you're going through. You're looking for someone to lean on, a shoulder to lean on. BAKIRE'S Mission is here for you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like, comment, and share the link, and share the link. Someone out there might be in need of this information and you don't know what you'll be doing to help someone get over the postpartum and the depression and the loneliness and the devastation. Just share the link and help build the world for the better. Thank you so much. BAKIRE'S Mission loves you and we are here for you. Thank you for watching.